See, to understand what the original Office is about, you don't even need to watch a single scene. This intro tells it all. You have office towers, a car park, a roundabout, sad rainy weather. And here it says Slough Trading Estate. Don't you just cringe when you hear that? Slough? And finally, the pan across another office building. And once more, repetitiveness, boring, sad, office life. That's what it is.
I don't give shitty jobs.
The first scene is a nice intro of our main character, David Brent. We don't even know if that's a friend he's trying to hook up with a job or someone he just wants to make his friend by doing that.
In the work-related arena. But I've done that. I want to better myself. I want to move on. Then I can make that dream come true too, a.k.a. for you.
Here we go, wrong use of an expression. That comes up all the time, sometimes with grammatical errors or inability to calculate. I wouldn't say he's supposed to be stupid, but definitely overconfident in respect to what he knows.
Friend of mine. Alright? I know the man for the job. Sammy, you old slag. The Brentmeister General.
Trying to act cool, that's his routine. He gets away with it somewhat, but always seems obnoxious.
I've got the man here. He's perfect. Has he passed his forklift driver's tests? He gives the tests. Yeah. He's first aid trained, yeah. Yeah. We'll get a CV over to you this afternoon. I'm seeing you Sunday, aren't I? For my sins. Oh, he's Elaine. She left you yet?
And there it is. Puts his foot in his mouth, and it automatically becomes the punchline.
She has left him. I forgot about that.
Uncomfortable inappropriateness. That's the feeling that Gervais' character provokes. He's someone we laugh at, but feel a little sorry for, because we know we're better. The NBC opening title gives away just as much as the British one. We get the sense right away that it's more small town, less suburban. The first shot is a tower. I mean, it says pen paper on it, but it could as well be a church or a little train station. Then we have the welcome to the town sign, one exterior of the office building, and boom, we're inside. And we're introduced to each character. The pace of the song picks up, everything seems faster and definitely more welcoming and bright. The montage full of task copying, shredding, highlighting. It looks like it's a team effort, friendly, fun. When Ryan holds up the bag at the end, he seems like a champion. This is definitely the feel-good version. Here, they're a little more obvious about the mockumentary style. They show the shaky outside shot through the blinds.
How are things going at the library?
Also, it's not a meeting to get someone a job.
So you've come to the master for guidance?
Michael Scott is playing the jokester right away, too. This is sort of the same as with David Brent, kind of douchebaggy, but definitely more likable, thanks to Steve Carell.
Done. Yes, I'd like to speak to your office manager, please.
They're capitalizing on his different style and potential as an actor. To realize that early was what laid the ground to make The Office successful in the US.
Talk to you, manager. All right, done deal. Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
The scene ends with the same kind of joke, but you're much more likely to say whoops and laugh with Michael Scott, other than laughing at David Brent.
That was a woman I was talking to. So, she had a very low voice. Probably a smoker. So that's the way it's done.
Stromberg starts with a cold open, same technique as the US version to reveal the mockumentary style, and because of the lack of an establishing shot, we're given an audio intro to the office setting. Obviously someone typing. To the point and efficient. German cliché number 1.
Büro.
Then Bernd Stromberg opens with pronouncing the German word office, Büro, with as much disgust as humanly possible, and starts complaining about work life. German cliché number 2.
Ja, das ist auch sowas. Hier hilft jeder jedem.
You can see quickly that the show is probably even more about this dick of a man than the one it's inspired by. This intro scene is about him. The technical assistant is just there to reveal his many character flaws, as most of them lie in the realm of human interaction. Admittedly, the technician is acting unfriendly as well, which makes the whole thing even more uncomfortable.
Ich bin seit Jahren auf M8, ohne Dach, ganz hinten. Und wieso, wo sind Sie?
E4.
Eben. Da sieht man zum Beispiel, wie kommen Sie denn an E4, bitte?
Ich kenne den Hilpers und der verteilt seit neuestem die Parkplätze.
Ah, der Hilpers, ja. Röchel-Hilpers. Kommt, der raucht Asbestzigaretten, so wie der klingt. Eine nehme ich noch.
Nee, ich glaube, der Hilpers hat schweres Asthma.
Ah, oh. Das ist natürlich Das ist schlimm, der Hilpers.
Waren Sie hier zuletzt auf russenschlampen.de?
Was? Also das wird
The way the scene ends is characteristic of the whole show. Stromberg knows he's doing something wrong, and he knows we know, but he's still acting as if it were okay. Much different Brent and Scott, who create a lot of funny scenes because they are clueless. The opening montage seems the most stylish of all. Loungy music, it's clearly a city. It shows the office environment more like a tiring space that everybody accepts to sadly be the center of their lives. So obviously everything still has to look good. It's clean and sleek, it's still dull. And the elevator doors close with Stromberg yawning. Perfect. 3 times the charm. This time the voyeur camera zooms in through the leaves of a plant. The first character we see is the receptionist. I don't see any real motivation in that, but it sure sets up this beautiful and simple way to present a title shot. Maybe it's to create a little bit of suspense before the main character is introduced in the same way. François Berléand is a very big deal among French comedians.
Ça fait à peu près 15 ans que je suis dans le business.
Then he steps onto the stage and claims it fairly easily.
Tout ce qu'il y a ici, c'est moi qui l'ai créé.
If you're trying to compare the opening sequence to the other versions, it gets a bit confusing. They threw together a few scenes that were originally separate. Self-introduction, walkthrough, then the small talk with the receptionist.
Laetitia Cagnery, la chef réceptionniste. Ça va?
Oui, ça va super.
Ça fait un bail qu'on bosse ensemble, non? Hey, notre rayon de soleil, là, la chaleur de l'Orient.
Triquet, the manager character, seems really cheesy here, not awkwardly uncomfortable and funny like, for example, Brent and Scott in the same scene, which comes later in their respective episodes.
Tu as du courrier pour moi, s'il te plaît?
Oui, juste un fax.
Hey, Laetitia.
The way he's playing with the camera is also just an ode to him being a famous performer.
Laetitia, combien de fois je t'ai dit qu'il y avait un endroit spécifique pour tout ce qui vient du siège?
Ah non, vous me l'avez jamais dit, non?
C'est la poubelle, Letty. La tête. Tout le monde dit que je suis un patron exceptionnel.
When he's talking about the great working atmosphere they have and how he just can't help but be the whole reason for it, we're reminded of Michael Scott holding up his world's best boss cup. But Triquet does it with much less humility. He's funny as a comedian, but the character seems too much in control of his actions, while still not being as incredibly despicable as Stromberg.
Bon, c'est pas à moi de le dire, hein. Mais si c'est vrai, je dis tant mieux, hein.
I'm not surprised the show failed.
Tant mieux pour eux.
Notice how just the opening shot here looks kind of like a pimped version of the Scranton office. In general, Contoret seems to be rather an adaptation of the NBC version of The Office than attributing the original. Rocking back in his chair, stretching, Ove Sundberg is introduced like an office clown. A little bit like Gilles Triquet in Le Bureau. No wonder, Sundberg is also played by a national favorite, Henrik Dorsin, who before had starred in Sociedan, arguably the biggest comedic success of the last decade in Sweden. This opening scene shows him using the office as a stage, maybe even more so than what we saw in the French version.
Hallå gubbar! Det första jag gjorde.
I mean, I don't understand a lick of what he's saying here, but it's probably the same self-congratulating introduction all of them have done.
Utan det var för att skapa möten mellan de anställda. Masoud!
But just seeing him interact shows again something unique. Sundberg equally annoys the people that work under him, but unlike all other versions, they seem to not only disrespect the person who fills the position, but also just the office manager in general. It seems like they don't need him, nor any replacement.
Företaget också.
Now something weird happens. We're given a groovy, late 80s style scored intro that makes you think classic sitcom. The way it's shot, the way the characters seem to play together as a group, a family, and then Sundberg posing for effect at the end. It so doesn't match what's actually happening in the series. I don't know much about Swedish TV, but I think they could have done better. At least with the intro. It's the youngest Office adaptation, the second season just ended. Let's see how long it lasts. Like all great shows, The Office deserves an SNL spoof. They bring in Ricky Gervais to present it and have the very original show set in Japan, a cultural stereotype-ridden montage of just Japanese stuff. Then the exact same Scranton sign but with Japanese letters. Kristen Wiig does an incredibly offensive Japanese receptionist, which is really funny. And we'll go over this quickly with just noting 2 things. It's remarkable how Steve Carell can do a perfect rendition of Michael Scott without even saying a single word in English. And Jason Sudeikis strips down John Krasinski's performance of Jim to the basics so well that I wish he had played the role in the actual series. Since it's only focused on ridiculing the NBC office, this doesn't offer much to analyze the global appeal of the concept, but it's great that it makes fun of it. That's why one of the show creators played along. Let's skip to his summation.
It's funny, because it's racist.
Well, that was a bit of a detour, but it ends with the guy who co-wrote the original concept and starred in what I think still is its purest form. Thanks for the global office, Ricky.